So I'm just going to jump you into Photoshop for a second. Now this obviously isn't going to relate to everyone because this is kind of digital camera stuff, but it's a good one to understand. And you can also get raw photos off the internet if you can find something that's applicable. But with the photographs, I got you to change the settings on the camera to JPEG, and by default it was probably set up for RAW. Now RAW, the reason I got you to change it is JPEGs are faster, they're smaller files, they're still pretty good for what we were learning. That was the significance. RAW files are a lot bigger, and if I open one up here, this is actually one of the studio shots that we took, and because it's a RAW file, it automatically opens up in this RAW camera filter. Oh, you guys can all see the image of me on Photoshop?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Great photo.
Yeah, thanks for that. So you end up with a whole lot of functions down the side here, and what it does is it lets you pull details back into the image and dilute shadows and all that sort of stuff. Instead of things being blown out or bleached out, RAW captures a lot more detail. And let's just have a go with this this image. So you'll find that, like, if I look at this, it's starting to blow out a bit on this side, and it's really dark and shadow on here. And that's because we had a single light going. But even with a single light, if it's a raw image, I can pull this image back. So if I push the exposure, it's going to bleach it or darken it. I'm going to lighten it off a little bit, even though this looks like it's getting blown out. And then with the highlights, I can bring them right back in. If I look at something like shadows, I can lighten these shadows back up. You can see now I'm starting to see detail. All that detail there, like a raw photo gives you a very flat looking photo, but it has all this information that's sitting in there. If I pull the blacks down, maybe pull the exposure up, whites I can bump up or play with them. So all of this stuff that was basically completely lost before has come back into the detail, and this is the bit that's pretty spooky. Is down the bottom here, and this is just a very, very simple play that I'm doing with this. Is if I go to texture, it just, oh my god, that's horrific. But you can bring all this incredible detail back into the image. And let's so if I open that, it's going to open in Photoshop. And actually, I think if I close that for a second, I've got. Actually, I'll leave that there because you can see the background. So I'm going to save as. Just going to give it a different name. And now I'll is it open that image up again. It's going to open it back up through Camera Raw. And I'll just change these settings back. And I'll open that. So let's have a look at the difference with that. Oh, actually, I'll move that over a wee bit. All right, you can see both photos or just one at the moment? Oh, sorry. But you can see both photos?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, look at the difference. It's phenomenal. This one here, no, you can't even really see the definition between the ear or anything. All this shadows on the face, you know, it brings up the fact that it looks like I have to shave my whole face. It's crazy. But you know, the difference is phenomenal. You take a raw photo, and the amount of detail in that image is incredible. So you know, if I'm reducing down on this, it just, you know, other than the pole, it looks like a completely black image. And then this one, you know, the color and even the kind of the detail on the back wall and all of these things down the shirt and across it, all that detail has been pulled back in. So the benefit of using raw photos is it makes a huge difference. The only problem with it is that if you're taking a whole lot of photos, it takes up a lot of space. And so usually if I want to take quick photos that I know that I'm not going to crop into heavily, then I will just use JPEG. But if I'm going to probably crop into an image and play with it a lot more, then I would take a raw photo. Okay, so I'll stop sharing that and stop the